First of all, love Michigan. Even though I was born and raised in Mississippi, I had the privilege to live in the Mitten for 2 years. It truly is my second home. The summers are quite different. We don't have to close our pools down here, and it's warm enough to swim almost all year. But the Michigan summers are so great, there's little to no humidity. Anywho, my question. When we moved home, we bought a house with a liner pool that was built in the 90s. Wood walls. Last year, we had a friend in the pool business replace our liner. I'm fairly certain it's not the right size. A little water behind the liner is normal because of the amount of rain we get, but this past year it was out of control. Now we have a 1-foot diameter hole under the liner that goes to the ground. Can this be patched or resurfaced? Just that area, or does the entire bottom need to be concreted? Depending on that answer leads to my next dilemma. At some point we need to remodel the pool. Everyone says it's just as expensive as building a brand new pool. I want to keep the basic shape and size, returns and jets, except put a shelf where my steps are and something different where the swim out is. I'm a DIY girl and will do whatever work I can myself. I realize the bigger issues need to be left to professionals, but what are your thoughts on replacing the steps, the difficulty and price scale of that? It looks like we'll need another new liner anyway, so I was hoping to incorporate the upgrades with that. Thanks for your videos. You speak my language.
Okay, so very simply, yes, that hole can be repaired. Oftentimes what happens is when you have a lot of groundwater running underneath a pool, you will get a hollow spot, and then water pressure, especially once you add to add some water and fill it up, will collapse that section. It certainly can be filled in, possibly even without replacing the liner, depending on where it is. Oftentimes when that type of collapse happens, you can take the water out of the pool, peel it back enough to literally crawl underneath the liner at times. I've had to do that, and repatch it, refill it, probably with concrete, with vermiculite, with whatever and however deep it is. The challenge, if it's a big hole that's sunk in and has been like that for a while, the liner might be stretched to that shape. So when you fill it back in, you'll end up with a bunch of unsightly wrinkles in that spot. However, it's the least expensive route to do it. It might get you a few years down the road, even if you have an ugly spot. Obviously, the easier way to do it would be to pull out the liner and repair that spot, putting a new liner in. The third set of this scenario, we're talking about pulling out the steps and putting a sun shelf in. Fairly normal thing for guys that have done it or have been willing to try it. If you approach an average vinyl liner construction guy and ask him to do that, he's going to have absolutely no idea how to do it. However, if you approach someone who is willing to learn, it's absolutely possible. I would disagree with a renovation costing as much as a new pool. I do think depending on what you do with the pool, it can be substantially expensive to renovate, but I would not put a renovation in anywhere near the category as a brand new pool construction, especially when you're upgrading and you're doing things uniquely to the pool. If you're starting a brand new pool and doing all of those unique things to the pool, that's going to be substantially more expensive.
Although a renovation today could be as much as what the pool cost to put in.
Yes,
ago.
so if you're looking at the cost of building a basic pool again, that cost could be similar to you renovating an old pool and adding a whole bunch of cool stuff. So that might be the misnomer is renovating a pool with a bunch of cool stuff is not going to be the same price as building a new pool with all the cool stuff. It might be the same price as building a basic new pool. So there's so many factors in there and so many ideas, and DIY, again, I love DIY because I'm a DIY kind of guy myself. I mean, I happen to sell what I do for other people, but when it comes to me, I'm always building my own types of things, and I'm not the guy that hires out contractors anytime that I have to. I rarely do, if ever, because I'm a kind of DIY. Even when I'm on your project, I'm the DIY guy to figure out how to do it. So love that part. I'd say go for it. I know we've tried to, over the years, put all kinds of videos out about some of the special features and stuff. You can dig through some of that, and maybe that'll give you some ideas. And then gather those into a bit of a playlist, so that you know which videos, and then maybe show those to some of the guys that you might hire to do the work, and you might be surprised and find somebody. As a matter of fact, here's a story I'm going to tell real quick. Happened today. I have another pool builder in the area here who wanted to do a concrete sun shelf for his customer. He worked with me years and years ago when he was just a kid. He's gone into the business himself, and he wanted to do a custom sun shelf so that in a vinyl liner pool, so they could put chairs on the sun shelf and not have to worry about doing a liner over to damage the liner. So I helped him pour it today. And while standing there, a neighbor came over who was a concrete guy, who was fascinated by the process that we were doing, and said, I just bought a liner pool kit online, the pool steel, but I'm not going to do, now that I see this, I'm not going to do the vinyl over steel for my pool. I'm going to figure out how to pour my sun shelf, the sun shelf myself. And it's just a process that takes time to learn, and once you learn it, you've got it. And if you can find a guy like that that's willing to try, I think you could surprisingly get a lot more out of a renovation than you would imagine.